Hey everyone, welcome to the Canine Culture Podcast, where we talk about everything dog. Q&As with veterinarian professionals, rescue operators, everyday topics. We cover everything dog on this podcast. So make sure you subscribe to the Canine Culture Podcast on your favorite podcast platform, and make sure you're following us on social media on both Instagram and Facebook. Thanks again for listening. Now here's that next episode. Hi everyone, welcome to the Canine Culture Podcast. This is your host, Brittany, and today's episode is part of our series of Throwback Thursday. Throwback Thursday will feature popular episodes from other seasons. So today we're going to be sharing the K9s United episode. K9s United has an upcoming event on April 29th in St. Augustine, Florida. It is a race. There's multiple options. There's a 1K, a 5K. There's also a couple of events going on that day with some of the dogs. So we wanted to make sure we brought back this episode so that you guys would still have time to not only learn about K9s United, but to get signed up for that April 29th race. So enjoy the episode. Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to the Canine Culture Podcast. We have a very special guest with us today. Her name is Debbie, and she is the founder of K9s United. So welcome to the show, Debbie.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So tell us who you are and what you do.
My name is Debbie Johnson, and I started a nonprofit called K9s United. And I started it, we were official in 2015. I believe it was April of 2015. And how I started it was a canine in my county at the time, where I lived in St. Johns County, was murdered in the line of duty. And I saw his death on the news, and it just captured my heart. I've been an animal lover my whole life. Don't have any ties or any family in law enforcement, but just saw the dog's death, and the immediate thing I think was, how does something like this happen while I'm home safe and sound? That's the thing that really resonated with me the most. So next thing I know, I am going to the funeral, and which was absolutely one of the most emotional things I've ever attended. And then when I left the funeral, I went to the sheriff's office and made a donation, and then just inquired. I said, as a civilian, what can I do to support these amazing units? And I winded up having a meeting with the sergeant of the K9 unit, and then I winded up going through their civilian law enforcement academy, which I think every citizen should go through just to learn all the different aspects of law enforcement and what they do. And it was during that civilian law enforcement academy, I went on a ride along with a canine handler. And that's where I learned that, the canine unit's one of the most expensive units to run in law enforcement, and sometimes the most underfunded, depending upon the agency.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been in the business world for 22 years, and had put on charity events in the past for my church and whatnot. And I went back to the sheriff's office, and by this time, they're like, who in the world is this little girl, and she will not go away?
Yeah.
So, they kind of thought I was crazy at first, but I said, I put on charity golf tournaments before in the past for my church. Could I go through you guys, put on a charity golf tournament with the caveat that all the proceeds would go to the canine unit? And they explained, well, if you go through us, then it'd have to go to the 4-Star Fund, which is a general fund. And I said, I don't want to do that. I said, what about if I started my own 501c3? Would you allow your unit to reach out to my org, tell me what the need is, and then I go directly to the vendor or the company, make the purchase, and donate it to your unit? And they said, yeah. So that's what I did.
That's amazing. I love that you jumped into action. And I feel like if I had ever gone to a funeral for a fallen canine, I probably would have done the same thing. Uh,
Yeah.
you know, so not the same story, and I'm not quite where you're at yet, but I look up to you, and, I learned about your organization, I would say a year and a half, 2 years ago. And somehow it was either in the news or I found out about it and I was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. And since then, I've actually had on the podcast a canine handler talking about how underfunded they are, how expensive it is, and, the love they have for their dogs and the good work they do for their dogs. So that's amazing that you're supporting that. And I can kind of resonate with why you started K9s United. So I rescued a senior Pomeranian at the end of 2019, and I had never rescued a senior before, but I'd had a senior a few years prior that passed away. And I started to get a little more involved in the dog rescue community, and I guess it never dawned on me how many senior dogs are just dumped or taken to the vet to be euthanized just because their owners are tired of them. They don't want to take care of them. The dog doesn't play anymore. And so a lot of my drive for starting this podcast is to provide free information and get the word out there of people doing good work for dog rescues, but then also giving animal owners, dog owners, a resource if they need help trying to find something for a condition or an issue they're having. And then a part of that is that I am hoping in about 9 to 10 years, maybe shorter, I want to start a small dog hospice care. So that's the plan. So like I said, I look up to you and your mission and what you've done because, I mean, K9s United is huge. I mean, everyone's heard of them. You guys do phenomenal work. And so to that point, so for anyone that hasn't heard of K9s United, can you summarize kind of what you guys do? And you guys do a lot, but can you summarize kind of what you guys do?
Oh my goodness. It's been a whirlwind,
Right.
I never thought that my main thing when I started Canines United was I didn't want to put ourselves in a box as far as like that we would only donate one thing, you know what I mean? Like one type of equipment, like let's just say bulletproof vest.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, we want to fund whatever the need is. That's how we're truly going to help and make a difference.
Right.
So what we do is agencies will send in a request of whatever the need is. So we have actually donated anywhere from an actual dog to a harness, tracking harness, and everything in between. We've actually donated a vehicle before, heat alarms, inserts, which is the big, metal cage that goes in the back of the canine vehicle that helps keep the canine safe. Bite suits, training equipment. There's all types of things that we've donated. So that's the main part of our mission. And then the second part of our mission is we do an 18 by 24 canvas portrait of every fallen canine in the U.S. That was super special to me that I wanted to do something for the handler to honor their partner when they passed away or if they died or they were killed in line of duty.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing.
Yeah, we have an amazing artist in Tampa. His name is Damon, that does all of our portraits for us. And they're 18 by 24 canvas that are actually mailed to the handler. And then along the journey, I was listening to handlers all across the U.S. That were reaching out to us. And another big thing was training. So sometimes within the agency, it wasn't within the budget to send their teams to any kind of advanced training. So I've been blessed along my journey and have been able to come across some of the top canine instructors in the industry. And so I decided to put together a team of instructors. And we now go across the U.S. and we put on free training seminars.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Yeah. So we do it in Florida, obviously. And then we do it all throughout the U.S., but we do just all different types of, whether it's problem solving, tactical, tracking. I mean, all the different. So we basically do the seminars. We find out from the attendees, what is it that you want to work on? What is it that you feel that you want to learn? And we kind of like cater those seminars to, or what we do. And then when we were part of proposing SB 388 for to the EMS transport, then we also do first aid training seminars. So that was super important to me to be able to do those as well.
So back to what you just said about the bill that you guys had signed. You were successful in getting a bill signed that would allow canines to be transported by ambulance if they were injured in the line of duty, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And are you guys working on that in any other states right now?
Yes. So actually, I'm not a big political person, but when Canine, it kind of started, my political journey kind of started in 2018 when Canine Fang was murdered for Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. So his death, at the time, I always knew when I first started that it was only a 3rd-degree felony if you killed a law enforcement canine, which I thought was absolutely ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
But starting a nonprofit from the ground up, it takes a lot of time, especially when you work full time and you have a daughter and a husband. So I had my head down doing all of that. But when Fang was killed, it was just that overwhelming feeling again. I honestly do feel like God's laid all these things on my heart. And so I was like, this is crazy. So that's when I proposed SB 96 that was passed in 2019, which makes it a 2nd-degree felony now in the state of Florida if you kill a canine. And then fast forward to 2018, no, last year. Was it last year? I'm losing track of my time. When ATF Canine Bane had an electrical fire in his vehicle and almost died. It was his incident that we proposed the EMS transport bill. So I'm actually working with a U.S. congressman right now. We already actually have the bill done to combine both those bills into one to make it federal.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
And there's such a need for that. A lot of people, I actually talked to a lot of people after the race that you guys had in May, and you guys had kind of talked about that. And everyone I mentioned it to, they said, wait, canines can't go in an ambulance? And then they're like, wait, it's not like a 1st-degree felony to kill a canine? Like, just all of these different, which it's great that you've got it moved at least to 2nd degree. But I mean, I don't think a lot of the public is educated on the lack of, I guess we could say, laws or the lack of support for our canines. So you guys are definitely doing work that is 100% necessary.
Yeah, thank you. We think so too. It's these dogs are so, they absolutely love what they do. And they would do anything, right, as far as to protect their handler. And
Right.
so, to me, that's the whole point, right, is they should be honored. They should be valued as an officer because, they're out there in the field day in and day out helping to keep us safe. So they should be. So
Right.
that's, that's who we are and that's what we do. So we want to support them in any way that we can, and like you said, there is such a need, and every agency is different. Your larger agencies, they have better budgets than your smaller agencies. But still, you're dealing with a living, breathing animal. Things happen that don't necessarily can't account for in the budget,
Right.
if one of them gets sick or one of them has an illness, or if one of them gets injured, I mean, there's all types of things that come up, if they were to get into an accident, and wreck the vehicle, well, got to get a new vehicle, I mean, it's just, there's so many things. So I think a lot of people, sometimes they feel like, the public feels like that the agencies, that the canine should be well taken care of. It's not that they're not well taken care of, but money only goes so far.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So you guys put on great events. So anyone that's listening, if you haven't yet been to a K9s United event, I would absolutely recommend it. Even if it's a running event and you don't run, just check it out. I mean, you guys had great vendors. There was demonstrations. It was just a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah. And, we tell people all the time, if you're not a runner or a walker, just come out to the demo. Just about every event that we do, you'll be able to meet some of the canines and do a little bit of a demonstration, because we think it's important to always educate the public, on what they do.
Right.
And at the race, at the demo, you can ask questions, you can talk to the handlers, you've got trainers that are there. So it's just a great way to be able to come and say hi and meet some of these great guys and gals that are in the communities every day. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So where can people go to help and give back to K9s United?
You can go to our website, K9sUnited.org. You can follow us on social media. We always have our events on our social media page. Not all of our events yet are updated on our website. So if they're not on the website, you can always find them on our social media page on Facebook, whatnot. But there are so many different ways that people can help. We actually have our own license plate. We got approved for our a pre-sale for our own license plate. That was from our legislative efforts. So people can buy a license plate to support us. They're $34 on our website. It's a great way for you to show your support for law enforcement canine units. $25 of that $34 comes back to K9s United, so we can, continue our mission. And you can go to our website and check out our store. We've got merchandise, our T-shirts, and whatnot. They're always a conversation starter.
Yeah. Even when I wear mine from the race, people are like, "Oh, did you know that dog?" I'm like, well, no, I didn't know him personally, but we ran in honor of him.
Yes, exactly. And our regular shirts, our regular retail shirts, our K9s United shirts, people always are commenting that they always get stopped whenever they wear their shirt to say, "Who is that? What do they do?" But or you can go to our website and make a donation if you want to make a donation. And then we also have what's called a Canine Core program, which is a monthly donor program. So anybody can get involved. We have levels that start out at $9 a month that goes up to $99 a month.
Okay. Yeah, that's great.
Always have to keep it in the nines.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, Debbie. Well, I really appreciate you taking time to record this with me. And for all the listeners, if you guys have any questions, make sure you guys follow K9s United on social media. And again, thank you so much, Debbie. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Brittany. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for tuning in to the Canine Culture Podcast. Please make sure you subscribe to the Canine Culture Podcast on your favorite podcast platform, and make sure you're following us on social media. If you have any recommendations, any topics that you'd like to hear, if you know of any guests that would be good for the show, or if you yourself want to be a guest, please reach out to us. Send us an email at canineculturepodcast@gmail.com, or send us a direct message on social media. Thank you for listening, and please share this with any of your dog-loving friends.